is Sharron Hilbrecht, and I am a volunteer at Historic Locust Grove. I've been volunteering there for about 20 years in different capacities, and one of my favorite ways to volunteer is a tradesperson. I do historic interpreting in several different places at Locust Grove, and one of my favorite ones is in the dairy. Today I was at the grocery store and it was really shy on butter, and I thought, oh, I know what I can do. I can make my own. So they did have plenty of heavy cream left. So what I'd like to show you today is how you can make butter at your house. So because I am a historic tradesperson at Locust Grove, I have some items of my own. This is a little mini crock that I have. This is the crock and this is the dash. And when I'm interpreting at Locust Grove, I'll use this, or else the wooden dash and churn. This is not a panchion, but it would have been used, a bigger version of something similar to this would have been used. This is a crock that you can put the butter in after it was made. You would always have plenty of water on hand. These are called butter paddles. This is so you don't touch the butter with your hands because, as you know, butter gets melty when it gets around heat. And I'm going to add salt to my butter. One thing, you all might not have this at your house, so you can use a jar. Any kind of jar is fine. I have a small mason jar. Make sure it has a tight lid. And instead, if you don't have cheesecloth, which is, you can get this either at Joann's. I got this at Kroger's. If you don't have that, you don't feel like going to get it, you can always use a strainer. And then make sure this is heavy whipping cream. And I just like this brand, but you can get whatever you like. In the dairy, the most important thing was cleanliness. They would milk the cows in the barn, then they would strain the milk to get rid of any cow hair or grass or dirt. And then that milk would be brought up to the dairy where it would sit for 12 to 24 hours so the cream could rise. The dairy was a very clean place, and it was usually built next to a well so that you could have access to water. So we're going to wash hands today because that's what we do, especially now, just so that we can have clean hands. So I'm going to start making butter. I'm going to pour some cream into my crock, and I'm not going to fill it up all the way because it's going to splash out a lot, and I don't want it to splash out a whole lot on me. And then I'm going to pour a little bit of cream about halfway into the jar, and I'll churn both and show you how it works. What I'm going to do for my crock and my dash and churn is I'm going to put it in here, then I take a piece of fabric and kind of wrap it around this dash because the cream at first will splash out and it gets really, really messy. So then all you do is just go up and down like this for quite a while until the cream has turned to butter. If you're going to do it in a jar, make sure the lid is put on, and then you just shake it. And you'll shake it for quite a while, and we'll check back in as the butter is starting to develop and show you what to look for. So I've been churning here for about 10 minutes, and we've also been shaking this jar for about 10 minutes, and I want to show you what you're going to be looking for. As I'm churning here, you can see that some butter flakes have started to come up. You can see it here on the dash. And then when you take the lid off, it's starting to look a little bit like whipped cream or melted ice cream. And that's the same with this in here. We still have a ways to go, but we're getting there. We'll check back in a minute. After about 20 minutes of churning, we have now something that is starting to look like butter here. Still has a ways to go. And then this is looking kind of like whipped cream. So we're almost there. We'll check back in a few. So mine in the crock is ready. You can hear a difference in how it sounds, and if you listen carefully, you can hear it sounds wet. And I'll show you what it looks like. You can see the chunks of butter here and the cream that's left over, the buttermilk that's left over. This is almost ready. You're going to get to this in the jar and you're going to think, oh, I've got butter, but you don't. You have to have that buttermilk showing up. So we got to keep shaking this for a little bit longer. So this is what it looks like when you finally have butter. You can see the buttermilk in there and the big ball of butter. So we're going to rinse it next. a piece of cheesecloth and I've laid it onto, this is actually a pie plate. If I were in 1816, I would have what's called a panchen. It's like a larger version, shaped similar to this, with taller sides, and it's a little bit wider. And all dairies had these, but I don't have one. So we're gonna go with what we've got. And I'm gonna take this out, and I'm gonna pour it in here, and you can see the chunks of butter coming out. And I'm gonna strain it out so that the buttermilk drains. Don't squeeze too hard because you'll squeeze the butter out through the cheesecloth. But you want to get as much buttermilk out as you can, and then we're going to wash it. If you want to keep the buttermilk, you can certainly do so. You can use it to make biscuits or pancakes. I'm not a big fan of buttermilk, so I'm not going to keep it. But you could, of course, if you wanted to. So here's my ball of butter. I'm going to get the other one and show you what to do with that. You can just pour it into a strainer like this and just kind of push it a little gently so that you get a lot of the butter out, and you just have to work it. Again, don't push too hard because you don't want the butter to squeeze out through the bottom of the strainer. Now, if I was in the dairy, I would take some water and then I would just wash this butter to get all of the buttermilk out, and the panchen would be really nice because it's deeper. This isn't deep enough, but gives you the idea. I'm going to wash the rest of this in my sink along with this butter. The idea is to get all of the buttermilk out because the butter will keep for quite a while in your refrigerator, but if you have leftover milk in it, it will spoil and then your butter will taste bad. So let's wash this until the water runs clean and it's clear and not milky. Like, see how this is milky? You don't want milky butter, milky water when you're making butter, because that means you still have milk in little pockets in here. So we're just going to work this. One of the things that you can also do, what they might have done back in the olden days, is use butter hands to wash with. The butter hands, you would put the butter on here and then you would go like this and push it like this so that the liquid comes out, and it just forces the liquid down through these little grooves. So that's another good way to get the butter, all of the liquid out of the butter. So I'm going to push down here so that you can see how there's liquid still in here a little bit. You can see it right up there, and that will spoil if you don't get it all out. So I'm just going to wash this in the sink just so you all can see how to do it. You can see that there's still some of that milky liquid coming out of there, and you just squeeze it, and because this is cold, it's not going to melt in my hands, so I'm not using my butter paddles. But you just go back and forth like this until you get all what you think of as the leftover milky liquid out, and that way you can have nice butter that will last for a while. So I've combined both butters, the one made in the crock and the one made in the jar, and now it's time to salt it. You can add salt as a preservative as well as a flavor, and you just add a little salt, however much you like, and then just work it in like this. You can add sugar if you like a sweet butter. You can add honey. If you wanted to add an herb like dill, you can add a dill butter. And you just work the butter back and forth. Do it quickly because the butter does get soft in your hands. And let me taste it and see. Perfect. So the Crons would have stored their butter in crocks similar to this. This is probably small compared to what they would have used, but this is a crock. I'm not going to put it in a crock because we're going to eat this. I'm just going to leave it out. I'll probably make some bread later on because there's nothing like homemade bread with homemade butter. And I will just keep it in the refrigerator and we can have it. This is a really fun activity for kids. If your kids are bored at home and they want something fun to do, and you can get your hands on a pint of heavy whipping cream and a couple of jars. It takes about 30 to 45 minutes to make, and it's a lot of fun. The kids are real excited about it. I remember doing it when I was in kindergarten. So enjoy. Let us know if you decide to make butter and how it turns out. Have a great day.